Everyone, good morning and good evening. So already I have covered SAP ME basic infrastructure. Now actually I'm going to set up a master data and a production line in SAP ME, and what all a master data is required for a manufacturing an engine. Will maintain all the master data and then we'll go for the execution. So for this, I have taken a complete scenario. So actually, completing this scenario, we can accommodate almost all the SAP ME features, and we'll learn it. So here I have taken an example of engine manufacturing. So in engine manufacturing, I have taken some of the important components that been used in engine assembly, and I will create all these components in SAP ME. I will map it and I will do a full cycle execution. So for that, what all operations need to be performed, that I have in the next slide. So here you can see I have draw a diagram here. In this flow chart, you can see there is a operation 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So there are 4 operations that need to be performed, and then the engine will be available in inventory. So the first operations that you need to perform is the operation number 10, a cylinder block check and assembly. So you have to check a cylinder block. If it is everything is okay, then actually we are going to assemble a cylinder block at the operation number 10. And after that, there is a operation number 20. And at operation number 20, we are going to assemble the cylinder head assembly. So you are performing a cylinder head assembly at the operation number 20. And this is happening at the resource RES02 DCNR machine. And engine block assembly is happening at the RES01 resource, that is the assembly bench. Operation number 30, I'm doing a final assembly. Whatever the remaining components that need to be assembled to engine, I'm going to assemble at the operation number 30. After that, at the operation number 40, this is a testing operation, where after completing all the assembly, I will be doing a testing of the engine. Depending on the testing fail and pass, I am going to move this particular engine to the rework production line. So there is a rework production line already available, where actually you can send for rework or repair that need to be performed. After the rework will be done, so depending on the defect, depending on the rework, either you can go for the scrap, or you can put that particular engine on hold, or if the rework has been completed successfully and again it is ready to be tested, you can send it back to the engine test operation number 40 again, and depending on the testing result, it will either go to the inventory or it will again come to the rework. So this is a complete scenario I'm going to execute in SAP ME. And for that, whatever the master data is required, I'm going to create all the master data that is required for it. And one by one, I will add a SAP ME feature as well into it. So first of all, move to the next slide for the master data creation. So before creating a master data, I can see here a material master. So what is the material master in SAP ME? So material is nothing but a basic entity that a particular company manufactures, or they might procure, stores and sales. So whatever the entity they are manufacturing, procuring, storing, and selling that are known as the material. And each material should have a unique identification number that need to be provided in SAP ME. So we will create a material in SAP ME by providing a unique identifier. In SAP ME, material can be created as standalone as well as we can download a same material master from SAP ERP if integration is in place. So either in a both way we can perform this task. So either you have already a ERP system integrated, so better you can transfer your ERP material, what is required for a specific plan to SAP ME. And after that, you can also do a modification by adding some floor specific fields and value to the material maintenance. So SAP ME provides a material maintenance activity, that is a user interface activity, UI activity. And by using this material maintenance activity, you can create, update, delete the materials in SAP ME. So after that, we have some ERP and SAP mapping field. So this is very free one. Suppose if whenever you are transferring your material from ERP system to ME. So plant in SAP ERP is known as site in SAP ME. So whenever we are talking about plant in ERP, the same thing is known as site in SAP ME. For the production order, you are saying the production order in SAP ERP, but in SAP ME, it is the shop order. So this some of the ERP naming and their SAP ME naming might be different. Okay, so you have to understand that. Okay, so plant is same as a site in SAP ME, and there are some other fields as well, and for that corresponding name in SAP ME. There are some important terms that actually we need to know. Whenever you will learn SAP ME, these all terms you will heard by anybody, or even you are giving an interview, someone may ask what it is. So first is that SFC, that is shop floor control number. So what is SFC? SFC is a shop floor control number that is used to track and monitor a particular product in a manufacturing process. So suppose you are manufacturing an engine. So engine should have a specific or a unique number assigned to it. And by using that number, you can track your engine assembly, you can track your engine data collection, you can track your engine defects. So all this tracking you can done through SFC number, that unique identification number, and that is known as SFC. The number of SFC generation depends on the material lot size, that I will come later, that how many SFCs will be generated if you are releasing a production order or shop order in SAP ME. The another term is that a non-serialized SFC, and there is a serialized SFC. Here by mistake I have written non-serialized, here it will be serialized SFC. So what is the non-serialized and serialized SFC? So whenever you are doing a manufacturing in a lot, it means one SFC have a more than one quantity. In that case, that SFC is known as non-serialized. Whenever you are doing a manufacturing one by one, and which SFC has one quantity only, in that case, we will say that is the serialized SFC. So serialized and non-serialized SFC depending on the number of quantity that SFC has. The process lot. The process lot is nothing but a grouping a number of SFC together and doing the execution all the together on the line. So by assigning a number of SFCs into a process lot, SAP ME also provides an ability. You can start or complete SFCs by using the process lot. So suppose there are 10 SFCs inside a process lot. So all that, if you are starting a process lot, all 10 SFC will be started. So this is also a unique number that's assigned to a group of SFCs. Alternate is nothing but SAP ME allow you alternate material to be used. So if the main material is not available at the time of manufacturing execution, at the time of assembly, you can use the alternate material that has been maintained in SAP ME as an alternate. The material can be of type panel. So this is mainly used in electronic industries where actually you are manufacturing individual product on a particular rectangular shape panel. So there is a panel, and inside that panel, suppose you are manufacturing multiple product, like on one panel you are there is a CPU, there is a memory, there are other component might be there, and later you want to identify each of the components that you are manufacturing on the panel should be serialized. It means again that will be the different product. So suppose a panel consists of CPU and memory. So after completing the manufacturing at the last station, you want that CPU will be one another product and memory will be one another product. So in that case, you can do the serialization of this panel. So in that case, it will split your SFC into two SFCs. One is for the memory and one is for the CPU. So you can make a material as a panel as well. Trackable SFC. So what is the trackable SFC? You have SFC, but another term here you can see trackable SFC. So whenever a term coming as a trackable SFC, the meaning is that you are providing a specific identifier or unique number to your purchase component. So whenever you are purchasing a component, it might happen that you are going to do some alteration on that component. You are going to modify that component. You are adding some other assembly to that component. Or if you want to identify the purchase component as that you have manufactured it. So in that case, actually, you can use a trackable SFCs for your purchase product, purchase materials. And you can collect the data related to the particular purchase material or any other data as well, and you can maintain the history, and anytime you can see what all assemblies, data collections for that particular component. Inventory ID. So inventory ID is also a unique identifier, unique number for a purchase product or purchase material. So whenever you are receiving purchase components or raw materials at the floor, AME creates and provides a unique identifier or unique ID, and that ID is known as inventory ID. So suppose I have received a 10 quantity of material M1 in SAP ME. So according to the lot size, the inventory ID will be generated. So if the lot size is 10, then one inventory ID will be generated with 10 quantity of M1. So by using the inventory ID, you can track your stock. So your stock will be associated with inventory ID in SAP ME. Your material might be a time sensitive material. So whenever you are defining a material as a time sensitive material, so that is mainly used to prevent the consumption of expired material or reduce inventory waste. The meaning is that whenever you are performing manufacturing processes and in between you want to consume some of the materials, so you can ensure that whatever the material you are consuming, that is not expired. So in that case, you can maintain that material as a time sensitive material. And time sensitive material, there are two terms again associated with it. That is the shelf life and floor life. So what is the shelf life? So shelf life is the total time of material that can be stored in a controlled environment before unsuitable for consumption. So this is like any product you are purchasing from market and you see there's a expiry date. The meaning is that if you are keeping as in a controlled environment or in a specified temperature, it will be better to use at that period of time only. After that, it will not suitable for use. So that is your expiry date. This is your duration, time duration for which your material or your product can be consumed. After that, there is a floor life. So what is the floor life? So floor life is different from shelf life. So floor life is, the meaning is that when you open that particular product from the box, and now actually it's came into the it is not in a control environment now. So the life of this material will reduce. It will not be a good up to the shelf life. So there is a shelf life, floor life also associated with the time sensitive material. If you have opened it, then what will be the life? It will be what will be the time period for which it will be better to use. So that also you can control and you can maintain if you have any time sensitive material. And there is a material group. So material group is mainly used to organize whatever materials you have in SAP ME. You can categorize, you can organize into different groups in SAP ME. And each group can have multiple materials. Depending on your group, you can assign any number of materials in each of the group. One single material can be assigned to the multiple group as well. ME will not prevent it. And this material group can be used in your next number maintenance, or it can be used for your custom development purpose as well. Depending on the requirement, you can group your material by using a material group maintenance in SAP ME. So now there is this is exercise 1. Okay, so in exercise 1, what we are going to do? We are going to create all the materials that are available here that I have listed down. I will create all the material in SAP ME. All this material master I will maintain. And the material I am going to maintain, that is one of the finished product and other are the raw materials. So raw materials is mainly used to manufacture the finished product. So these all are my raw materials, and petrol engine is my finished product. To manufacture a finished product, I need all these raw materials. And I am categorizing all these material into different groups. So I have created, I will be creating one FG01 finished good material group, and in which I will assign the petrol engine. And I will create another raw materials group RW01, and in which I will assign all these raw materials into the RW01. So let's move to the system and create this material master. So this is SAP ME system. So let me open that material maintenance. So material maintenance is an activity that is available in Activity Manager, and this is the activity that is used to create the material in SAP ME. So first, let me create this material. So I'm copying one by one and creating the material in SAP ME. So this is the description of the material. So I'm just removing from here. I'm providing a version A and giving a description for this material at petrol engine. And here I'm keeping as a manufactured material type. The reason is that this is the final product for me. If this is a raw material, I need to select the purchased, and if it is the raw material or it might be the manufactured, we can select as the manufacturer / purchase. So this one we select in case suppose sometimes a particular material we are also producing in-house, and sometimes due to the peak time you don't have the time to manufacture it, even if we are purchasing from outside as well. So in that case, the manufacturer / purchase material type you can provide. And here I'm also only providing whatever the mandatory values that need to be provided to create a material. And there are different tabs that will associate other material information that actually you can enrich your material with some other information. So that I will come later, but right now I'm creating a material as a manufactured. So this is retrieve, save, clear, and delete button. So retrieve button is mainly used to retrieve already existing material in SAP ME, and you want to see what all data has been maintained for an existing material. The save is used to create a new record, create a new material, as well as updating an existing material as well. So save button giving you two functionality. One is for inserting or creating a new material, and another is that updating the existing material. Clear, it means it will be clearing all the fields values that you have provided, and it will be again ready for new material creation. And delete means that if you have already existing materials, so you can delete it as well. Okay, so I think I have created all this material already. So let me click on retrieve. So you can see I have created this materials already. So already this material is available in SAP ME. So you can see what all materials are available here. So click here in a browse, and you can see all these materials has been created. Okay. So this is the material, whatever actually I have in a PPT, and this is the description corresponding to this material. So you can create a material by providing the material name here, giving the description, select the manufactured and one, and click on save. It will create one new material in SAP ME. So I have already this material created. Now the second thing, so here I have already created all these materials one by one. And another thing that this is the finished product. So I have also created a material group FG01 and RW01. So how I can see that? So go to the material group. So this is the material group maintenance. Inside that material group maintenance, if you will click on this browse button, you can see here the FG01 and RW01 has been created. So if you want to see, you can retrieve on it, and you can see this is the FG01 group with the the description is finished good, and the petrol engine is assigned into this material group. Okay, so whatever the materials you have, you can see at the left hand side in the available material, and whatever material you want to assign into the material group, that you can move from left to right and you can save. So in this case, I want to assign only petrol engine to the FG01. That actually here. That is here that finished product, and this is the material group. I am assigning that petrol engine. And another material group RW01 I will create. And inside that I will assign all these remaining raw components, raw materials. So now I'm going back here and I'm selecting that RW01, RW01. Click on retrieve here. You can see all this material has been created and assigned. So this is the raw material group. And inside that group, these all materials has been maintained. So this is a creation of a material and material group and assigning a corresponding materials to the material group. So the first step, this is the first exercise where you are creating all these materials. So first material will be your finished product and all other material will be your raw material. And after creating this material, you are assigning that material to the material group. So I have created the FG01 and RW01 and I have assigned it to the corresponding group. So now let me show you one raw material. Let me copy this raw material and go to the material maintenance here. So here, this is the raw material. So I want to see what all data I have maintained for it. So retrieve it. If you retrieve that, I have selected here the purchased. So only I have selected manufactured for the petrol engine material, other all the materials I have maintained as a raw material as a purchase. Okay, so up to here I have created the material, all this material, raw material and the manufactured material, the finished material, using the material maintenance activity in SAP ME. After that, I have created a material group in material group maintenance, FG01, and I assigned already created a finished product E0001 to it. And then I created a material group RW01, and inside that I maintain all these components and the purchase component inside that RW01. So this is the two groups I have created, and this is the material, and I have assigned corresponding material to the material group. Okay. So this is the creation of your material and material group and assigning to the corresponding group. Now, another master data in SAP ME is a resource. So what is resource in SAP ME? So resource should be there. This is the mandatory master data that need to be created in SAP ME to do the manufacturing. So resource is mandatory. So resource is nothing but a machine or equipment that actually you are using to perform a particular operation on the floor. Or it might be a workbench or area where you are manufacturing, you are assembling, or you are processing, or you are doing any operation. So resource is the equipment or machine used to perform work at operation. Okay. So this resource can be your robotic machine, or it can be your drilling machine. So it depend on what type of machine you are using. It might be the complex machine, or it might be a very simple as well. So resource can also represent the workbench or basic processing area where a operation being performed. So sometimes suppose you are doing an assembly at a particular workbench or particular area. So in that case, actually, you can define that resource as a workbench. Okay. A resource can be a discrete flow, or it can be the process flow. So this is the important in a resource. What is the discrete resource and what is the process resource? So whenever you are creating a resource in SAP ME, there is a checkbox in the main screen. Here actually you are not able to see that checkbox. I will show on the system. So there will be a checkbox. It will say that if it is the process resource or it will be the discrete. So here it's this pop-up has behind this pop-up that checkbox is there. So what is the discrete and process resource first of all? So discrete resource, whenever I'm saying, the meaning is that suppose someone has started a particular SFC at a particular operation and at a particular resource. So if operator 1 has started it, operator 1 only need to complete it if it is the discrete flow resource. If it is the process flow resource, if operator 1 has started the operation at that resource, operator 2 also can complete it. So whenever you find a scenario where someone is starting an operation at a particular resource and you have that some other person might complete it, so in that case, you have to define a resource as a process resource in SAP ME. If you will define it as a discrete resource, ME will not allow the other operator to complete it. If someone has started and some other person is coming to complete it, ME will not allow. So suppose there is a very simple example that suppose there is a oven and inside that suppose you have put some electronics boards inside that in an oven, and you put that particular boards on that oven at the end of the shift. It means the shift is going to be end and you started this process. So what will happen? The person who is working on the shift A, that person will not be able to complete because just now that process got started and it will take some time. So it will might overlap to the next shift. And in next shift, to perform the same operation, some other operator might come. So what they need to do, they need to complete this operation after some specific time. So if this is not a process resource, other operator will not able to complete this task. So that's the reason whenever the requirement is that someone is starting a particular operation at a resource and that might be need that some other operator can complete it. So in that case, you have to define a resource as a process resource. So SAP ME provides a resource maintenance activity in SAP ME. By using the resource maintenance activity, you can update, you can create, and you can delete the resources in SAP ME. So same like a material maintenance, we have a resource maintenance screen, and that is being used for your resource management. The another term is that a resource type. So what is the resource type? So resource type is nothing but a grouping a similar type of resources into one group, and that group is known as the resource type in SAP ME. So any number of resources can be assigned to a particular resource type. And this resource type is being used in the operation maintenance that I will come later. Okay. And each operation, whenever we are creating an operation, each operation must be assigned a resource type. So without resource type, you cannot create any operation in SAP ME because this is the mandatory field in operation maintenance, and that operation, the resource type need to be maintained for creating the operation. So resource type and resource are the mandatory master data that need to be created in SAP ME for any product execution. Okay, and SAP ME provides a resource type maintenance activity. That activity gives you an option, gives you a feature, ability to create the resource type, delete the resource type, or update the resource type. So resource type is nothing but a group of resources you are organizing in one group. Okay, so this is nothing but a group of resources. Now, this is the exercise 2. And in exercise 2, I am going to create a resource and a resource type. And also I am going to assign a resources to the corresponding resource type. As I mentioned that the resource type is nothing but a group of resources. So it might be one resources in a resource type, or it might be some more than one resources also should be available in your resource type. So depending on the requirement, the resource type, you can maintain one or multiple resources. But here I am going to create a resource type, and each of the resource type, I am going to assign one resource. So first, I am going to create all these resources in SAP ME first, and then I will going to create these all resource types, and then I will assign the resources to the resource type. It means the RS01 will be assigned to the resource type RS type 01. So now I'm going to create this resource in SAP ME first. So let me move to the system. So where I can create the resource in SAP ME, that is resource maintenance. So this is the activity in SAP ME, that is resource maintenance. By using this activity, you can create the resources in SAP ME. So I'm going to create the resource. Here I'm giving the resource ID, and here I'm giving the resource description. This is the assembly bench. So this is the resource, and that is the assembly bench. Here you can see there is a checkbox that actually you need to remember it. There is a process resource. If I will not check this checkbox, it will be considered as a discrete resource. If I will check this checkbox, it will be considered as a process resource. So whenever the process resource, any operation can be started by operator 1, and some other operator can complete that SFC at that operation and resource. So depending on the requirement, you are going to check this checkbox. So I'm going to check this checkbox for all the resources in my scenario. I don't want that one operator have to start and complete it. Any operator can start and any operator can complete. So for that flexibility, you need to make this resource as a process resource. And there are different statuses associated with the resource, but default status, I'm just keeping the enabled. I'm not going to do any setup for this particular resource. So if you have a robotic machine, so for that you might have some setup. So you have started the setup, you have setting up. So there are different statuses that you can change for it for your requirement. So I'm going to create this RS01. So just click on save. This resource is not available here. If I will click on retrieve, and resource RS01 does not exist. It means it's not exist. So I will click on save. Let me give the description again. If I will click on save, it will insert. Okay. Can you see the record added? So one resource has been created. So like that, I have to create all these resources with description. So I'm going to create here the RS02 and giving a description here. and making as a process resource and save it. Like that, I'm going to create the resource res03, and for that also I'm going to provide here the code res03 and corresponding description for this resource. So whatever the master data I'm going to create, everything is maintained in this PPT. So here again, I'm going to create the res04, and I'm going to give a description here. I make it enable actually for all. Otherwise, you will not be able to start any operation on this resource. So this is 4, this is the 5, this is. So these all resources or materials that I am creating, that actually being used later, the time I will go for the actual execution for the engine manufacturing. So here for RES1, let me, if you want to see what you have maintained for RES1, you just give here RES1 and click on retrieve. So here it is disabled. Let me keep it enabled, and there is a process resource. So first time actually you can see the first time I got inserted, and now record changed. Okay, so if you want to change, you can retrieve first, and you can make whatever the changes you want, and then actually you can save it. So for any resources, anytime if you want to see what you have maintained, you have to give that resource name, and actually you can click on retrieve. So by mistake actually I selected that disabled. So I'm just checking for all the resources. Either I have maintained it correctly. Okay, so from now I think it's okay. So now you can see all the resources I have created in SAP ME by using the resource maintenance activity. Now I'm going to create the resource type and assigning the corresponding resources to the resource type. And the activity in SAP ME for creating a resource type is resource type maintenance. Okay. So Control F and write here resource type maintenance. So can you see this is the resource type maintenance? Here I am going to create the resource types. Okay. So for that, here I'm going to create a resource type. Okay. So now copy this a resource type, go back to ME system, and here provide this resource type, and here you can provide the description. Okay. So description is cutting out assembly. Now I'm going to save it. So this is the resource type 1 with description assembly has been created in SAP ME. Now I want that the RES01 to be assigned to the resource type RES type 01. So here RES01 I will select from left, I will move to right, and I will save it. So the meaning is that in the resource type RES type 01, RES01 resource has been assigned. Okay. So for same, I need to do for all. So this is the another resource type. Let me copy it. Two. And for the second one, save it. remove RES1 from here. I'm giving RES2 for resource type 2 and save it. I'm going to create the resource type 3. Okay, let me remove this and RES3. I'm assigning here. And here, what is the description for it? Operator group. Okay, so here I'm just changing the description. Operators group and save it. And after that, there is a 04. The description is a testing bench. So I'm just making here the 04. Here testing bench. And here I'm going to assign the resource 4 and save it. After that, I'm going to create the 05 rework bench. So here are 05. This is the rework bench. And here the fifth resource I'm going to assign to this resource type, and I'm going to save it. So now I have also created a master data for a resource type as well. Resource type and resources. So up to here, I have created the master data. Now, after this, I will going for creating another master data that is required in SAP ME in our next video. Thank you. Thank you very much.